Okay, so welcome to Freedom Hustles podcast. This is episode 17, I believe. So, John, how are you doing?
Yeah, good mate. Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a dreary week, wet and windy down here
Yeah.
in the south coast. But yeah, we had to. Apologies to anyone that is. We did have to give it a miss last week. We skipped a week because we were just both sort of snowed under with client work and this that, and the other. But hope to get back on track now. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, we were both quite busy with our own bits and bobs, but which is kind of good though because it's sort of motivated this talk
Yeah.
because we have been.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working on several projects, but one of the projects is we've been creating a little bit of content for somebody who is creating their own website, which then got us thinking about content creation and also website flipping, because this is something that I've been interested in for quite a while. We've got a few of our own websites. We've been meaning to sort of look into probably selling to someone else.
Yeah.
So also I've been writing about website flipping this week, so everything's all sort of pointed towards this podcast. So today we're going to talk about website flipping.
Yeah.
There's two ways of doing this. Technically, I don't know if it's the same in America or Australia or anywhere, but here in the UK, flipping is a term. I know I've heard it many times in the building trade. You buy a second-hand, sort of an old house, which needs some looking at. You sort of do some renovations, and then you sell it for a profit. You have it for several months, probably no more than 6 months. I think 3 months is the target. Bash it out and then sell it for a profit. And website flipping, in many ways, is a similar thing. There are people who go to Google, they go to GoDaddy and Flipper.com, look for our websites, expired websites that people are no longer working with, which have got good backlink history. They've got a lot of good traffic and a lot of potential. So they buy these old websites up, they add new content, they work on it with a plan, get them monetized, and then again the same thing. They do them up cheaply and then sell them on for a profit. And but website flipping isn't necessarily just something that you do with an old property, an old website. There's like property developers, they often build a brand new one. And so that might be the main feature of the talk tonight. But if you go to flipper.com, I find it incredibly interesting when you look at how many of these websites are only about 2 years old. So it seems to be like an average. I think there are people on there who are serial website builders, website flippers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
They get the website, they install WordPress, they build a website around a specific niche or a specific certain keywords which are not got a lot of competition from other websites. So basically, I suppose you call them like the low-hanging fruit, the long tail keyword phrases. And then they will get these websites, monetize them by affiliate products from ClickBank, JVZoo, or Amazon, and they work on them for, I suppose, I say 2 years is probably the average, and then they try and sell them on. So, and it's, I think it's one of them things where especially for youngsters who've got a bit of an idea about sort of WordPress and technology, and if they're not currently working, they could be working on sort of several of these websites in one sitting.
Yeah, I know that. I know one of the popular trends at the moment. I mean, it's been going on for a while, but I know a few things have sort of, caught my eye recently, and that's Amazon affiliate websites. And these are basically like, I think we've talked about this before, but you could pick sort of like a general niche. Like we were talking just off air about some guy you were saying that sold a drone website. And a lot of these can be, like you say, a blog or a website, and they've just literally crammed out, so much content. They could have, like, say, a couple of 100 articles on there, maybe even more than that. All these articles are kind of targeting, they may be around specific products. So in this case, if it was an Amazon website, it might be targeting specific actual Amazon products, or in this case, drones. So, or it could just be, So you can have the review type posts, can't you? Which would be like, my review of X and XX drone, or it could be the sort of general information posts, which could be just something like top 10 drones of 2021, right? Or top 10 drones under $200, or do you know what I mean? Top 5 highly expensive drones, or this and the other. Top 5 drones for beginners, or you get the idea. So then they'll create that content out. Like I say, spend if it is a couple of years, spend a couple of years writing all the material out. Getting the content out there, perhaps even building up a kind of social following as well on maybe 1 or 2 platforms. And then, we've talked about systems loads of times. And once they've got a little system going, this can become a little bit of a routine. And then they built that up. And then before you know it, that site's now generating an income it could be loads of different ways. In this particular example, it'll be Amazon affiliate income. So they'll be getting an affiliate commission of these sales. I mean, you could have AdSense as well. Mm-hmm. And then, like you say, and then they go on a site like Flippa, which should we say is FLIPPA, Flippa, I think.
Yeah, I think
Flippa.com. And they can flip it, they can sell it. So, and it's massive. The markup's massive, like you mentioned then. If it's pulling in, say, like $1,000 a month, it won't. That doesn't mean it sells for a year's profit or 2 years profit. It can sometimes go for like 10 times or 20 times. I'm not entirely sure, but a website pulling in $1,000 a month would go for a substantial 5-figure amount, wouldn't it?
It can do. Generally, a pricing of a website is 12 to 24 times a monthly income.
Ah, right. Okay.
But it depends also though on the potential, because don't forget, Viral Nova sold for was it 100 million?
Way million.
Yeah, I'm excuse me. I've got a few examples in front of me, which I'll talk about. I mean, the great thing about it is that the amount of work that's involved. First start, you can outsource a lot of the writing work. Yeah. As long as you keep an eye on your costs. It's a bit like when you have a property that you're going to renovate down the street. If you bring in a plasterer, a plumber, and a builder, you make sure you keep your costs. You understand what your costs are, and then try and sell it for a profit. Yeah. So, but if you do a lot of the work yourself, for example, I'll give you a few examples. But the first one is one I remember this. I remember this from, I think it was last year. There's a guy we've been following. You know him. I've been following him as well. He's an Australian dude, likes a bit of weed. Now and again, he does lots of affiliate sites. I think you know who I mean. And
we can say, can't we?
I think so, yeah. I'm just trying to remember his name. Is it the Lazy Stoner, isn't it?
Oh, that guy, yeah, no.
Yeah, the Australian guy.
For ages, yeah.
Yeah, so he did a case study where he showed you basically, I talked earlier about the low-hanging fruit and the long-tailed keyword phrases. He did a website to do with the best affirmations. So everybody's into The Secret, they're into psychology, they're all trying to do these affirmations. I'm a wonderful person, I'm earning X amount of thousand a year or something. And he built a website around that. And I think he had like one YouTube video on there and about 5 posts. And then he connected it to a ClickBank product, which was to do with affirmations. And that was at one point was generating around $1,000 each month. So he landed in Google because he did his keyword research, and like I say, the content was minimal, and he was generating $1,000 in affiliate commissions from that one product on ClickBank. So that website, which basically would have taken him probably no more than a few days to actually create. I think he had someone on Fiverr.com create the video with a load of affirmations and a bit of music. So that one video, which has now earned him the equivalent of about 12 grand over the year, but itself is worth another 12 grand if you were to sell it, possibly more, because of the potential. Because on things like Flippa, you can either buy it as a buy it now, or you can have it as auction. So if you've got 5 or 6 people who are interested, that 12 grand website, or that what it was valued at, could actually probably go for a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
So, but another example, if I was to say to you, you wanted to learn to rap, okay? You would just think, well, let's just saying poetry over beats. It's not that hard. You don't really need to. It's not like you're going to have a study course, is it? However,
No.
on Flipper, just recently, a website called Rhyme Makers is a niche website in the how to rap and rapping space, sold for $10,200. 2 years old. Not sure if it was on WordPress, but it was generating £557 per month. Now on Flipper, I think they take the previous 3 months and then work out the average. So as long as it's like a consistent.
Yeah.
So this guy built a website around learning how to rap, which I wouldn't have even thought was a particular niche. And so he was earning $557 on average per month, and then he managed to sell it for $10,200, and it was only 2 years old. So I mean that's
good.
That's quite impressive. I mean, like we talked about earlier about the drones. I think it was called something like Aerofly Drones. So this is a website specifically around drones, which is a growing, popular sort of. It's not just a hobby, is it? Now it's a tool, isn't it, for businesses as well? Everybody's using drones.
Everyone, yeah.
So he built this website.
They'll be flying around checking us if we're obeying by lockdown rules soon.
To be fair, I have seen the police using them at Lincoln Christmas Market a year or two ago for terrorist reasons, keeping an eye on people. Proper drones. Right. So this website was built on WordPress, and as you know, and I know, WordPress, you can stick a WordPress website up on the internet within probably about 5 minutes. If you say half an hour, if you're very green, it can cost. Prices have gone up a little bit with SiteGround, but you're looking about $150, possibly $200 for 2 years.
Yeah.
For a basic website. So he built this website, 2 years old, was generating $811 per month, and he sold it for $32,000.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
So that is
a lot of these guys. They'll then use that money, won't they, and then reinvest it. They're like like property developers do. They don't just stop there. He'll use that then and reinvest and maybe do another one.
That's their philosophy. I mean, when they're doing that one website, they've probably got another, say, 3 or 4 websites in the pot. So they could be working on 5. I mean, someone who's really prolific could be working on 10, but they're working on these websites. And so, like you say, they'll take that money, then they'll start another one. And then they'll just basically, it's a bit like the property development that used to go on in real world. You start off small and then eventually you go up to the £1 million property.
Yeah.
So they could be working on several of these at a go, and at $32,000, so that's for 2 years' work. Yeah. Now imagine he's got another 3 of those. That's not a bad little income to come from basically something which is, if I dare say it, if you've got like a system, we've often talked about systems in the past, you've got yourself a checklist, what pages, what plugins you need, what you need to do, you follow that system. Not a bad little income. I mean, let me share with you another one. This one is really powerful. This one's 4 years old, a little bit older now. I don't know if this was a guy who owned it for that reason, or whether he was actually a web flipper. But I think they've sold other things on Flipper, so I'm assuming that these aren't just people just buying, just selling a one-off website. But it's 4 years old, and it was a review site. So basically, it's called Best Advisor. So he was reviewing brand new products. A lot of the articles on there were similar to as you said, the review articles, and then there's how to. So it'd be like how to use a electric scooter.
Yeah.
And then obviously in that article, it'd be linking out to Amazon or something like that. So he was generating on average $37,257 per month. And it's at the current price of $850,000.
That's the whole thing for sale, yeah.
So $850,000, because you was on about how they can go for big figures.
Yeah.
Now that one was generating $37,000 a month. So there's that one. That's a simple one. There's one here that some guy's doing. It's to do with freezers. He reviews freezers and freezer parts, which then links to Amazon. I think that's the only affiliate network on there. So it's the Amazon affiliate program. And 3 years old. So it's not a big, brilliant website, only making $287 per month, but it's still priced at $11,000.
Yeah, so then people can decide then what they want to do, can't they? They can either decide, do they want to flip it out and get that sort of lump sum in, or they want to continue to grow it and then, put another couple of years in. Is that obviously that little bit of a lottery involved? But I guess the prices fluctuate as well. I guess the markets, like any market, prices go up and down and demand and things like that. But I mean, I just want to say, although I agree, the essence of it is pretty straightforward. I.e., people know how to get a WordPress up and running. You can buy your hosted, you can get set up fairly quick, and you, as far as churning out material, that's as well a kind of achievable thing, and it's something that a relative newbie can do. But I don't want to get. I mean, there is a lot of not necessarily skill, but you will need to do a bit of research in this. It's not the sort of thing that I wouldn't just go in blind and just start writing anything. Always check out your competition. If you're going to take on a site and try and build something, then first of all have a look, see if there's competitors out there. That's not a bad thing if there is. It tells you that there is a market for it. And then the other thing is, there are tools and things like that you can use, sort of keyword analysis tools, and you can discover which keywords to go for, and like you've said about perhaps going for some long tail stuff, and don't expect results overnight. This is not a thing that you're not going to write a blog post, stick a video up, and then make sales immediately after. It is something that can take time, which is why a lot of them sites, like you say, they might be 2 years, 3 years old. They certainly didn't happen overnight.
I think. Sorry, go on.
Another element I just wanted to add is, we've talked about this before with YouTube videos, and it's important that people don't just give up. If they do a couple of weeks and see no results, don't give up, because there's this thing called like the Google Sandbox, which we've talked about this on YouTube videos before. Well, I think I mentioned it on a couple of podcasts ago, and we were talking about YouTube, and I've seen it before where we can make something like a YouTube video is a perfect example. You can make a video and it can almost sit there and just drip feed along and get a couple of views, 10, 15, 20 views a day, nothing really. And all of a sudden one day it just goes and takes off. And then before you know it, it's not getting 10 views, it's getting 1,000 views. And then after that, it goes up and up and up. And then it's almost the same, isn't it, with blog posts? You can write stuff, it can sit there and you can feel like you've just done it and it's like, oh, nothing's going to happen now. And then who knows, a few months down the line, a good website, an authority website could link to it. You've got yourself a really powerful backlink, and all of a sudden your rankings go from nowhere, and you might find yourself on first page, and then all of a sudden you're getting organic traffic, which then breeds, which then leads to more sales and more. If you're doing the AdSense thing, it will get you more impressions and this sort of thing. So I think it's important just to make that point. It's not a quick fix, and it isn't something that happens overnight. But don't let that sort of get people. I don't want that to put people off. Not the sort of thing you just give up after a couple of weeks, is it?
Well, this is the reason why I keep sort of hinting at like it's actually a very quick way of making money, but like I said, on average, these people are giving them 2 years.
Yeah,
they're developing a website for 2 years. Because I'm looking at another one here. This one's a drop shipping website. Now, if you don't know what drop shipping is, it's basically where you build a website, fill it full of products you've sourced from suppliers and manufacturers, and then you basically share your products around social media, or you get people to your traffic, and when they buy, you take the payment. The order automatically goes to the supplier, who then sends it directly to the customer. You don't touch anything. Mm-hmm. So this website is 2 years old. Again, 2 years, like you said, you have a plan, you sit down, you think it through. 2 years may sound like a lot, but trust me, in 2 years' time, when you've done nothing, you look back and go, Why didn't I start then? Because it flies.
Yeah.
So this guy sat down, done his plan. It's making around $1,942 per month, and is up for sale for $58,000. And again, like I say, once you've got your website built, once you've got the frame built, it's a case of sticking your content on there. And like you said earlier about the content similar to YouTube videos, you could have several articles on your website 6 months down the line, or even a year down the line. Someone will probably link to that, but you might even get somebody on Facebook, a big page, find it and share it.
Yeah.
And then it can sort of really change your traffic around. But also, the more content you add to it, and if you write it specifically with certain keywords, and as you said about doing your research, all your research is here on your laptop. You just basically go to Google.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I gave you the example of the guy who does freezers and freezer parts, which is the Amazon program. So basically, he'll just go to, I don't know, say Zanussi or Frigidaire, whatever they're called, and just look at their new products. His keywords will be written around the models.
And another thing is perfect is questions. Have a look in the comments section. Why, if people have bought something, then go into the comments and have a look at the reviews, even the bad ones. And there'll be a problem. Might be a problem or a question in there. Can it fit in this stuff? Can it do this? Oh, mine broke down after 3 weeks. And then you've all of a sudden you've got that blog post there. Like you say, there's material everywhere. But I mean, I'll just, look, you mentioned then about, keeping going and this, that, and the other. And, if you just did 2 posts a week, which of these particular websites, the posts don't have to be, like 4,000 words or anything like that. If you just did a couple of posts a week, like you say, and, a few years down the line, you'd have, a couple of hundred, and then that would be then generating traffic. There's almost no two ways about it. But, providing you've done your keyword analysis right. And I'm
going to say, if your keywords, I mean, it depends on what niche you go to. I mean, it's like a great example as well is like you can actually jump on what I would call emerging sort of niches and trends. You've got to be pretty observant of the world around you and clued up. But if if we discuss, let's say we mention hip hop, breakdancing, BMXing, acid house, those are things that are part of our society. They are, it's history. We know what they are. We've lived them. We know what they are. But in 1984, here in the UK, people never even heard of hip hop because it was just starting.
Yeah.
Now it's part of our culture. It's the same with sort of graffiti, with breakdance. It's the same with, say, acid house. Acid house didn't really happen until sort of 87, 88. Now it's part of our culture. There's always something new emerging. So if you're sat there one day looking around and you see your friends or your children doing something new and you think, what's that? And it's, if you do a Google search and there's nothing there, if you get in there at the beginning and start creating a website around that, and then you'll probably become one of the first authority websites. Once it starts to sort of kick off, people are going to come looking to the Google, they'll come start searching for certain terms. Your site's going to pop up in the searches because it's the first one. People are going to link to it. People are going to start sharing your content. You become the number one place. That's going to be a very profitable, valuable website. And it's going to be worth quite a lot of money to, because obviously industry goes around. I mean, hip hop now is worth basically billions. I think Dr. Dre takes $1 billion every year or something out of his Beats headphones that he invented. He just started off as a scratch DJ back in the early 80s as the World Class Wrecking Crew. Now, like I say, there's industries all around it, clothing, there's all these kind of brands. So if you get in there first on an emerging trend, you've got a website that's going to be worth quite a bit.
Yeah.
Even after just 2 years of that growth, will be worth something.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, like you say, as long as people, get that in their head, stick with it, and have a little plan. Maybe like I just said, if you did a couple of posts a week, it's not a lot, but in 2 years' time, you would have a couple of hundred posts out there. That would be a very, very good website.
I mean, the drones, we've talked about the drones. I mean, drones is a relatively new thing. Now we're seeing websites.
Got on that a few years ago. Yeah, it's like now if you started doing, I don't know, e-scooters or, something like that. I mean, they're going to be everywhere in the next 2 years' time.
That's it. I mean, a lot of these websites I'm seeing here are sort of niche specific. Like we said, there's the one that is freezers and freezer parts. So it's not all electrical. It's not covering.
No, it's
You know,
niche.
it's
Yeah.
just that freezer. You've got the drones. You've got the drop shipping one, which I didn't tell you was it was swimwear basically. So we just focused on swimwear.
Yeah.
What else did I say? The
I
rapid
mean, you
one.
can do the sort of generic ones, can't you? You could do like
You
one
can.
on pets, dogs, celebrities,
Mm.
you know, or even travel, certain destinations. I don't know, Wales, or you know what I mean. You can do it like that, and it will work, but it will be a bit harder because you've got so much more competition, and you know the chance of ranking for stuff is going to be a bit harder. But
Well,
yeah,
the example with the best advisor, which I said was up for sale for 850,000, which is only 4 years, that does actually cover everything. But
yeah,
it has 650,000 unique visits from mostly organic traffic.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. So I mean, that, like you say, it is possible to do something that covers
Yeah.
every, you know, a large, broad niche.
Yeah.
But on the
Well, like we
whole,
said earlier, I mean, if you've got the budget, you can outsource this. You don't have to do it all on your own. Or when you start making, like, you know, if you start making $500 a month, rather than take the money out yourself, you can just literally use that money then to hire more writers. Don't take a wage per se. Use the money out of what you're making and invest in, you know, get some writers, and you know, you can just ramp up your content. Anyway, we are sort of coming to the end of tonight's podcast. So I guess we should wrap up really. I don't know, my thoughts really, it's not really a subject that I'm that familiar with, but you know, I've built websites that people have bought off me, but I've not built websites that I have then sold myself. But you know, it's certainly something I don't know, God, over the years, I think we've still got several running now we could have a look at. But so I just want to say, yes, I agree. It's certainly something that people should look into. Don't give up after a couple of weeks if things aren't working. Certainly give it some time. But yeah, anyway, any thoughts from you?
yeah, if I can just quickly make a comparison, because I've mentioned it a few times to do with like real property, buying houses and stuff like that. There are people out there who wish to buy websites and businesses. So, for example, I mentioned there was a couple where they're making, let's say they're making £400 a month. That's like the rent of a property. So there's people who are buying houses because they want to make rent. But with a website, these people can buy a website that's making £400 a month for say sort of £10,000-12,000. You can't buy a house like that.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
So there are people who are willing to actually buy websites because the return on investment is, when you compare to say like a property, it's actually up there in the hundreds of percent. I've actually seen websites where the return on investment is basically like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Because you've also got to remember is even if you build one from scratch, like I said, prices have gone up now, but for 2 years you can have a website for like £200. So that's say £100 a year. You can't buy a house property like that.
No.
And you can spend £100 a year on a website, and as I've seen here, there's one that's earning $37,000 a month now. I don't know what his goings are, but you can earn. Me and you've done it before. We were paying £60 a month for our host on one website, which was pulling in a few thousand.
Yeah.
So the return on investment is huge. I mean, if we'd sold that then,
who knows?
Yeah. So we always try and compare it, just realise that there are people out there who wish to buy these properties because they're a lot cheaper, they get more for the money. And from your point of view as well, they're actually cheap to develop, they're cheap to create, and they're actually very easy because you can do them in your spare time at home, you can do them while you're working a normal job, and you can manage 2 or 3 at the same time. It's definitely something to consider. Definitely.
Excellent. So, okay. So thanks very much for listening, watching, whichever medium you're listening or watching it on. Good one. So flipping websites, a little bit of a hip hop lesson in there as well. So hopefully you've got something out of that. If you any questions at all, just drop us a comment. We'll leave the links below. Reach out to us on all the various platforms. I just want to say thanks very much. My name's John Banks. I'm over at sideincommand.com.
Yep, I'm Andy Lehman from freedomskillsacademy.com. Just again, say thank you very much for listening. I hope you found it not just entertaining, but you found it useful. And we'll look forward to speaking to you again in the next episode next week.
Thanks very much.